Annarita.
Hi.
Hi.
Morning.
So we are going to start today with the first interview of our TripleA-reno Home Show. So TripleA-reno is a Horizon 2020 project. Is about attractive, acceptable, and affordable deep renovation. It's a Horizon 2020 project that is now running for almost 2 years now. And our intention was to have what we call the TripleA-reno Roadshow. So to go around, to talk with people, because this is what we really like, and also one of the scope of our project. But of course, in this time of pandemia and lockdown, we actually couldn't move anymore. So we had this idea to start this new project, which is our TripleA-reno Home Show, and just to start conversations with our project partners and discussing a little bit more about the project, what it means for us, and give some thoughts. And people at home just can listen to what we typically do, what we typically say in our meetings and projects. So I'm very glad to have here with me today my friends and colleagues. So Peter Veld is my senior colleague at Hagen, and he's a senior project coordinator of TripleA-reno and many others. And together with Peter, I have Annarita Ferrante, and she's also a project coordinator of several Horizon 2020 projects. So indeed, today the topic of our talk is Horizon 2020 project tips and tricks. Peter is, I'm just going to read a little bit of your bio because it sounds very interesting. So Peter Veld studied building technology at the Technical University of Eindhoven in the Netherlands, and he graduated in physical aspects of the built environment. And his present position is a senior consultant at Hagen Consultants and Engineers. So he is also a part-time position as a visiting professor at the University of Hasselt. And I have to say he's very, very glad and honored also of this title and service that he provides to his students. He really loves to work with students as well. But I think one of the things that we have to mention about Peter is that he's a very experienced project coordinator of several Horizon 2020 projects. So Peter, how many projects do you coordinate or you have been coordinating in your working experience?
In my total working experience, that must be quite a lot. I think about 10 almost. But I started my first European project was in the FP5 program. It was a resident project on hybrid ventilation. I did a concerto project on use of mine water, remining Lowex, IDAS EDU, that's an IEE project on new education systems. Also e-college, which was the first project I did on deep renovation, especially about how can you make it attractive and affordable already at that time for people with extreme low incomes. And then I started from 2015 in the Horizon 2020 program, and I did, for example, More Connect, Povtech, Mobistyle, TripleA-reno, Drive Zero, UCert. And since then I passed my knowledge to two young colleagues, Simona and Anna, and they are coordinating now 2 new projects. So yeah, this is in a nutshell my experience.
Yes, Peter, your CV is really, especially related to Horizon 2020 project, is very, it's impressive. So I read here, indeed, More Connect, Povtech, concluded Horizon 2020 projects coordinated, and active Drive Zero, UCert, TripleA-reno, Mobistyle. We know that there are 2 new projects that are up and coming. And he also involved in other projects like Bimplement, P2 Endure, and Progettone, which connect
Yes.
us to indeed Annarita Ferrante, Professor Annarita Ferrante. Ciao, Annarita.
Ciao.
So Annarita is a full professor in technical architecture and a member of the scientific board of the PhD in architecture and design cultures at Università di Bologna, Unibo. She has many years of experience both as a professional in site construction and research, but in the last 2 decades she has been dedicating herself to research on sustainability in architectural and urban design and energy renovation in existing buildings. She also has several years of experience in European funded projects. I just read here Urban Recreation Fellowship, some Marie Curie Action, Intra-European Fellowships, Abracadabra, and of course Progettone. So yeah, am I mentioning right, Annarita?
Yeah, that's true. And also, I am partner in TripleA-reno and Right Zero, your projects. Being an architect, let's say, we try to focus on the aspects of energy renovation that also imply, in a way, transformation in buildings. Trying also to work on non-energy related factors for energy renovation, which can be space extension, like we have, let's say, articulated and categorized in Abracadabra project, and space extension and new facade additions, and new spaces for living. So this is there is also this social orientated aspect of well-being and try to activate a market for the deep renovations in buildings. That is something that also Europe is trying to address and to add to. So it's something that we are trying to combine with the architectural and urban renovation of buildings and built environment in general.
Can you tell us, in your experience, why and in what these projects differ from normal projects, like other type of projects that you have been involved also as a professional and a person in academia?
I would say this is for the first time we were discussing about this project with Peter. The word was attractive because Peter was in a way, tried to discuss with potential partner at the very beginning of the project about this new idea. And the key word for me was attractive. We need to be attractive with games, with playful situation, with attractive architecture, with a lot of, let's say, aspects that maybe are not really and only closely related to the energy saving or the energy efficiency. But at the end, eventually, they led to this. And that's the very important aspect to me. The attraction for users, for the ones that are living in that spaces.
Of course, there's indeed a big difference between daily consultancy and these kind of European projects, whether it are CSA projects, coordination support actions, or innovation actions. But first of all, of course, the time frame is much longer. We're talking about 3-4 year project, while daily consulting is more on a weekly or monthly basis, sometimes a little bit longer. But what is quite important for a company like us is that we get many questions from our customers in daily consultancy, and somehow I try to translate it in more generic questions, research questions or innovation questions, and that I try to translate to proposals for European projects. So it's a kind of a liaison between daily consulting and practical research. This is a little bit the connection between the consultancy and the research work that we do.
What does this project means, well, for you first, and then for for Huygen as a consultancy company?
To start with the first question, what does it mean for me? For me, it's first of all a lot of fun to do. And why is it so much fun for me to do? Because it wraps up quite a lot of experience that I gained over all these years in typical renovation projects. And the first large-scale renovation project I did, that was a Dutch national program. It was by the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s. It was the so-called Innovatie program. And this was, I think, the first large-scale project in the world on deep renovation. We renovated about 20-25 complexes in a very holistic way. And this is also where I met our partner, Bouwhulp Group. And ever since, we are always dealing with the deep renovation, but we never came to the real questions. So how can we make it attractive, affordable and acceptable? And this all came together in TripleA-reno.
The gamification and the playful, let's say, approach is a very important part of the project. So I would say that the objective is important here, but also the way to arrive to this objective and aim. So it's it's the way that changed a lot. It's the innovative aspect of the project.
And Annarita, talking about home renovation in general, what are, in your opinion, the main barriers for still achieving more affordable, attractive and acceptable home renovations?
The barrier, in my opinion, is the invisibility of this renovation. Very often, renovation in building is not something that is really tangible, that you cannot see. There is a famous, let's say, thought from Joyce of the European Commission of the renovation, Renovate Europe campaign. I guess it was always mentioning this. Are you asking for a new kitchen to have a payback time of the renovation? You are not, because you're buying a new kitchen because you like it and because you need a more comfortable environment in your home. So something that could be also visible will be very helpful in making the energy renovation more attractive. That's my opinion. So I would focus on the visibility, on tangibility of these aspects, and also gamification could be one of these let's say, tools.
One of the main barriers that I still see in deep renovation is that there is a huge conflict between three aspects, and it's from one hand is the social collective aspect, so what our governments want, what Europe wants. This is translated in all kinds of ambitions, programs on CO2 reduction, circularity, etc. Then you have the second one, that's the private collective sector. So, for example, agreements with the supply side, with the housing sector, with utilities, energy sector, construction sector. And finally, last but not least, you have the individuals, the homeowners, who have complete other interests. And there's no synergy at all between these three interests. So a homeowner, in fact, yeah, he or she needs to renovate their homes, but they don't want to pay for the ambitions of a government or whatsoever. And this is where it comes to TripleA-reno. How can we come to that synergy? And we talked about gamification, we talked about digitalization, but these are all means to come to this synergy.
Peter, how do you foresee a future in which, for instance, home renovation could be fully designed through digital platform while people are comfortably sitting in their couch?
I think that one of the biggest challenges that we have now, or opportunities that we have now, is that we can make a step to a more digital way of owning your house. For example, what I can see and what I also see in other projects is that we can, for example, make a step to modeling, parametric modeling, which gives you the possibility to make a kind of an intake of your dwelling. And from that file that you get, you can enrich this file with all kind of information that you can get yourself as a homeowner by taking pictures or adding new things that you see in your house. If there is some service or maintenance, you can enrich this file. And this a digital platform is the ideal basis for that. And to make it work, the gamification is very important so that it is attractive. So this is in a way how I see how we can make use of these new technologies in a very practical way.
Yeah, and indeed the role of research is intrinsical in that, right? So also at the University of Bologna, the professor Annarita, she and with her team, they are developing all these sort of tools, so including parametric modeling. So they have expertise in architecture, but also combining with some sort of economics and ICT development. So really
Exactly.
see the development in research. Annarita, what's your take in that? How does the role of also academia and research can support everyday life, people in everyday life to have new tools to achieve something so complex and sometimes painful as a home renovation?
I do really think that it's not only important in the project phase, design phase. It is important during the life of the building, during our daily life. And for this, I really think that we could make a positive outcome, because I'm a positive. I tend to be positive, optimistic.
Yeah, too.
A positive outcome from these pandemic events we are experiencing during these days, because I think we should try to take all the aspects that can be maintained after this period to reduce pollution, to reduce mobility, which is impacting, and to try to have as long as possible an environmentally safe behavior. What I am, let's say, concerned now, it's that, maybe because we are in a condition of fear, we are going to use more private cars, more situation that could be more impacting, and this is something that we should avoid. From the policy, let's say, level, they should try to focus on those changes that create a more sustainable environment in general. So,
is practically doing in this project? What's your contribution to TripleA-reno?
Dealing with practical case studies, especially not myself directly, my collaborators, Davide Prati and Anastasia Fotopoulou, they are dealing with real cases. So they are interviewing people, they are making measurements on a real building. And I must say that there is a very large content from these owners, these users in buildings, because there is this aspect of sharing things, sharing data and communicating between them. That's especially interesting, and I was really positively surprised by this from the social housing inhabitants that were very positive in their response, being interviewed and being participative in this idea of a playful game to arrive to the energy renovation in their buildings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course, my main contribution was initiating this proposal, by the way, together with Annarita, and at the moment doing some background coordination. But what is For me, especially important, as you know, we have in TripleA-reno 3 levels. The first level is the co-creation, the second level is the making when we are doing the actual renovation, and the third one is the in-use phase. Especially the last 2 phases, how can we come to quality control? This is something that is for me very important at TripleA-reno, because it also gives a link with some other projects that we did, like Povtrek and Bimplements, where we looked at construction skills and upskilling both blue-collar workers and white-collar workers. And by using the benefits of these other European projects in TripleA-reno, this is very important, because this gives evidence to homeowners that they get quality that they pay for. And this is typically where also daily consulting and engineering comes together with some research, because we are doing that as well in our daily practices at Huygen. The third level is, I think this is one of the most added values that we have in TripleA-reno, because by monitoring the performances of homes, we get evidence that homeowners have not only good energy quality, but also in their environmental quality and thermal comfort. And what is quite, I think, groundbreaking in TripleA-reno is that we also come to a kind of a first approach to a combined labeling of the quality of homes, not only looking at energy performances, but also to other performances. And as you know, there are now many other projects, there are some other projects in Europe about this new way of energy performance certificates labeling. But in TripleA-reno, we made one of the first attempts to come to a kind of combined labeling to provide evidence to homeowners about the quality. Yeah. And this is something that is, for me, really the contribution that we can give also from our daily practice in Huygen.
Yeah, can you tell me, in your opinion, the 3 lessons that you learned from TripleA-reno that you think made the difference in a way you were envisioning the future of home renovation?
3 lessons.
Yeah, 3 lessons.
Attractive.
Yeah.
The AAA. The AAA are the 3 lessons indeed, because I think that the main one of the main lesson I would say is these ethnographic aspects that we are dealing also. It's not by Unibo in particular, but we are involved anyway, because there was an involvement for the case holders, or for the case studies. And the partners from Ljubljana made a very good job in teaching, training us, having these aspects of let's say empathy with the owners and with the users of building, and try to make this involvement and this bottom-up approach really actual in the involvement of users and in the renovation of building. I would say this is the main lesson for me. The second, another important lesson is that one of the playful and attractive games that we are trying to deal with in introducing all the aspects of healthy and well-being in the houses. So not only the energy saving, but of course the quality, the general indoor environmental quality in the houses. And the third lesson, I would say, it's one of the best, let's say, planned collaborative projects that I have had, because there is a very close relation in between partners and in between the different competencies of partners. And we are sharing a lot and learning a lot, all of us.
Absolutely. And
I practically have the same, more or less the same lessons learned as Annarita. But to start with the first one, first lesson I learned is that still level 1, the co-creation is quite challenging and sometimes tricky and difficult. But what I really learned, and this connects with also a lesson that Annarita mentioned, is that working with anthropologists and ethnographic studies really makes a difference. That is one of the main lessons I learned. This is really an added value that we have in TripleA-reno, without any doubt. The second lesson I learned is that the scope of TripleA-reno is quite broad, but still not broad enough, because one of the main aspects that we are missing in TripleA-reno is also about how to incorporate innovative finances. But this was simply because I had to limit the scope of the project, and we are working now on financing in new projects like Save the Homes. But if you combine this innovative financing schemes with the methodology of TripleA-reno, then you have, I think, a complete overview of everything that you need to come to make a step in acceleration of deep renovation. The third lesson I learned is that, and this is, the title of our interview is Tips and Tricks from Coordinators, but one of the most important things for me, if I start a proposal, is that you come to a real good balanced consortium. And this is something that we have in TripleA-reno, I think. I'm really proud of the consortium that we have. We have complementary partners, but what's also very important in a project like TripleA-reno is that we have all these important European umbrella organizations who really endorse the project and can roll it out in Europe, like Housing Europe and UIPI, ACE, RIVA, ICLEI. So we cover, I think, all the important sectors, and also in a different way. And this is also a lesson that I learned, that is you have to be very careful in composing a good consortium from these kind of actions.
So what are your hopes for this project? I mean, I know you're doing this as a job, as a profession, but I also know that you truly believe in what you're doing, right? So what are your hopes? What are you trying to, what do you hope this is going to change?
What I hope that's going to change is that we can use the concept of TripleA-reno as a kind of a blueprint that can be used for several renovation hubs in cities, regions all over Europe. I think that's also an important role for our partner ICLEI. But if we can come to that, that we can use this as a blueprint to come to all kind of renovation hubs, that is my ultimate dream.
I would have the same answer, and I would say not only for this project. In general, when we write a proposal, when we have an idea on working on innovative aspect of, let's say, projects that are in this Horizon 2020 topics and perspectives, the idea is that we could reiterate having this as the starting point for several other impacting renovation in this case, or several other impacting transformation in building. For example, for Progettone and Abracadabra was the same. The idea of using this canvas for having the possibility of spread this kind of intervention all over Europe. And I indeed, I am fully convinced that, like as Peter is, that the umbrella organizations in this perspective, they play a really extreme important role in helping this impacting dissemination and reiteration all over Europe.
Peter, could you leave us with just a final message, not only to people interested in the TripleA-reno, but maybe people like me that came from architectural research background and then started this profession of Horizon 2020 project coordinator. I know that I've learned so much just by working with you and people like Annarita. But what can you tell us? What can you tell to the future Horizon 2020 project coordinator? Which is your message, like that you want to give to the future generation?
I think I come to a very disappointing message. And it is just have fun in the work that you do. And be very open in your communication to your partners, and try to make a step forwards and work together.
Yeah.
And be open. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's all.
I totally agree with that, Peter, but I also would like to add that sometimes the idea of using the topic of the call, and as I already said in an interview at the European level, try to go a little bit beyond the topic of the call itself. That was the experience we had with the project owner, for example, adding the seismic and structural aspects to the building. Was the idea that came from the need that we have in the seismic countries like Greece and Italy and the southern of Europe to combine things. So making a little step forward to what is simply requested in European projects. So this is one of my, let's say, trick and tip.
And the key secret is really having fun. In a
Yes.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yes.
I always say that we're very lucky in doing this job, because we can really do what we love, and we can bring ideas forward. And I truly believe that we need people like you that have experience to teach and train.
Yeah.
To move the testimony forward. And indeed, building teams is very important, and collaborative efforts and communication. Yeah. All right. This was amazing. It was incredible. I really thank you, both of you, from your homes. So this was a nice conversation with Peter and Annarita, our experienced Horizon 2020 project coordinators. And I have been seeing you in person in a while, but indeed these digital tools help us to go through people's home. So this is the home show. So I thank you all. Just be well.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.